Welcome everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm here today with Kathy. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found me. I'm glad you found us. And my question for you, if you could wave your magic wand and get whatever you wanted in terms of whatever food and body and challenge you're facing, what would that be for you?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that because I knew you'd be asking me. And I feel like for me, it would be, I've had several autoimmune challenges. And so it works best if I eat a very disciplined, structured type of lifestyle of eating, definitely gluten-free, dairy-free. So I think if I could wave my magic wand, I feel like it would be finding peace with knowing that I'm choosing into that knowing that this is what works best for me and being, I guess it's challenging to say 100% compliant with it because it's life. And yet the reality is even choosing to have even a little bit of that really messes with my immune system. And so I would love to just have peace around that and being able to know that going out socially or dating or being around others, that it's okay that I take my food everywhere, or that I don't eat what other people eat, or that I, ideally, I guess it would be to have it healed, but working on that part.
Yeah. So how old are you, Kathy?
38.
And did you get officially diagnosed with an autoimmune condition?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed back when I was 14 years old with Hashimoto's. And then it was when I was 20, I think, 19, well, probably 21 with celiac. And then from that, just within the last 8 years, chronic fatigue and possibly fibromyalgia as well. So I have a few of them.
So do you still have the Hashimoto's diagnosis? Is anybody treating you for that?
Yeah, so part of the challenge is I've actually been allergic to every thyroid medication they've tried to put me on. So technically, I just got my lab results back. I've been doing a ton of visualizing and meditating, talking to my thyroid, seeing it as whole, and working with acupuncturist and naturopath and a really great holistic team to get it balanced. And I got my test results back and it still shows the antibodies for Hashimoto's, but my TSH levels are coming back into normal range, which is the first time since 14. So that's really awesome.
Wow. Okay. So when you were first diagnosed, how did that diagnosis happen? What were your symptoms at the time?
It was funny. I had a roommate that went and got tested. They tested her for a whole bunch of different things because she was very anemic and everything. And I had similar symptoms as far as just hyper reactivity with everything. I think at that point I had been doing a caveman diet, elimination diet, where eating, different types of grains, different days. I was reacting to everything, chemicals, smells. I would go outside, the tars, the road, the construction, everything. I would break out in hives so bad. One time I ended up in the hospital, just eating. I couldn't seem to make sense of whatever I ate. I would just be sick, hives mostly, but also I could gain and lose 10 pounds, literally 10 pounds step on the scale in a day, just very, very bloated and very uncomfortable and painful. And so she recommended that I go get tested and found out that was definitely one of the things that I had.
Wow. So are you still sensitive to chemicals in terms of smells?
Definitely a lot better. I like perfumes and colognes if people are wearing anything very strong, or yeah, I still am. Not as bad, but like if I go into a room where they have a Glade plug-in or the highly sensitive, sorry for mentioning brands on here. I don't know we can do that. But I usually have to go unplug them or put out candles or just not be around people that have a lot of strong perfumes and cologne.
How old were you when you first noticed that you were having unwanted symptoms?
Probably, I would say about 14, 15, just feeling very uncomfortable in my body. I think at around 14 or 15, I noticed that if I had pizza or like spaghetti or something like that, I would just not feel very good. So I consciously eliminated dairy at that point. and did better. I also had a ton of acne all growing up, very, very bad acne. And that pretty much cleared up as soon as I got rid of dairy.
Mhm. And at that time, age 14-ish, were you already sensitive to smells, fragrances?
Um, I don't think it was quite as bad. I do remember getting headaches quite a, just feeling, I don't think I was making the connection that it was with smells, but I definitely, would have a lot of sinus pressure, headaches, or just not feel very great in general.
Where did you spend your teens? Like which state were you in?
So I grew up and have lived in Utah pretty much my whole life.
Mhm. And what was happening for you when you were, 12, 13, 14, 15? What was it like being you, being a kid, home life?
Yeah, so I was quite a perfectionist, people pleaser. I was always the therapist for everyone else. I had a lot of family stress going on. My siblings really struggled with friends and just life in general. My parents definitely were not, never really seemed to be eye to eye on this or on the same page. So there was a lot of stress that way. There was a lot of hearing about financial struggles. As a teen in social school, I was very, very active. I had a big social group, and I was very integrated in like band and soccer and drama and sports and dance. And I mean, I did so many different things that was a lot of, it was a great outlet, but it also created a lot of just high stress trying to perform well in all of those areas and be everything that I felt like my parents wanted me to be and fix everything, even though that was not my job, but I didn't know that then.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 4.
And where are you in the birth order?
Right in the middle, 2 older brothers and a younger sister brother.
Okay. And how's your relationship with your parents these days?
Really good. Yeah, I actually currently live with my mom and stepdad, and my dad actually just stopped by and visited earlier today. So I talk to them pretty frequently. Obviously, my mom I talk to every day. She's one of my best friends, and my dad calls me quite a bit still, and we get to chat. So we're good.
Good for you.
Good
That's
now.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you notice, are there any times when, in general, you can say to yourself or me or anyone, gosh, I feel really good when, um, is it certain times of the day, certain times of week, certain times of the year, times when you've just noticed, wow, my symptoms just aren't as bad.
Definitely sunshine, I think, makes a difference when I can get out in nature and just enjoy the sun. I love, pretty much anytime I go out and walk, that varies throughout the day. So I wake up feeling, yeah, I would say probably from like 10 o'clock is in the morning when I've had some time to get going or meditate or just get my day started. That's a really good time for me. Definitely also evenings when I'm had time to process, and I do a lot of journaling and reflecting and different things. So I love that. And but yes, anytime I'm in nature that's a good day, which I
Mhm.
get to work to get out pretty much every day. So
And you're 38. Are you in a relationship?
no, I have an ex-boyfriend that we're still really good friends. Um, so yeah, just got out of one, I guess, a little while ago.
If you could have your wish there, where would you be? Would you be married? Would you have a family?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always seen myself being a mom, having kids at this stage in my life, and haven't had either opportunity. So
Does it feel like your health challenge gets in the way of that to you?
yeah, I think a lot of it does. I especially dating, it's very awkward and weird because pretty much every date revolves around going out to eat somewhere. And especially during all this crazy time right now, it's, it's just, what do you do? What's open? What opportunities are there to go experience things? And so, yeah, it feels and then starting new every single time that you meet someone new, it's having to start over with that whole conversation of, I need to eat gluten-free, or, stick to this. And so I think they get a little bit wondering where they can take me. And they seem really worried and concerned, or they always comment or make jokes, or, I get a lot of, well, you should just eat it anyway, or it's worth it, or, just that not understanding of what it actually does. And so, yeah, I've been very self-isolated for most of my adult life, if not even late teens as well.
Mm-hmm. Because of your diet restrictions.
Yeah. And I think also because of that, I've become more of the caregiver, and just taking care of everybody else. And I think the assumption of, oh, well, you're single, so you can help out here or do this. And so I just kind of become the go-to for everyone and everything.
Mm-hmm. So do any of your siblings have similar challenges to you, health-wise?
They, not as far as the chemical sensitivity or smells, but pretty much most of my siblings have struggled with weight issues, and I would say the bloating and different things. None of them want to go get tested, and don't even want to know, because they look at what I ate in the past, and what I eat, and they haven't wanted anything to do with that. So they don't want to know. But I would, if I were to put my best educated guess, I would imagine at least two of them that I know of would probably have very similar symptoms of the digestive stuff.
Mm-hmm. So in an ideal world, obviously, these symptoms would be gone. And in a slightly less ideal world, I believe you said you would just have more, you would feel, I'm paraphrasing, you would feel more empowered to make good choices for yourself. So it sounds like there's certain times where you stray from what's best for you to eat. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a caregiver for my grandparents for 7 years, and why they transitioned and passed on. And there was a time from that space I had done very, very strict raw vegan when I found out my diagnosis of celiac, and went into just a total medicine didn't work for me. It actually made me a lot more sick, and was on medications that they put AIDS patients on. I remember when I was super reactive, and hearing that, and just the shock and stress and overwhelm, and that it wasn't really helping. And so I dived into changing everything in my life, and it worked. I felt amazing for about 4 or 5 years, and just felt great, but it was so rigid and disciplined. And I mean, I sprouted and soaked and dehydrated everything. Like, it's a very committed, disciplined lifestyle. And I went from that to moving into my grandparents, and not having that full-time job of consistent income. And so I didn't have the lifestyle and diet that I would go out and purchase the food that worked for me. And so then I just ate whatever was at my grandparents. And then that catapulted in adding, the few other autoimmune challenges that I now am still working to reverse, and then, or at least stop symptoms. And so then, yeah, I ate whatever for a couple of years, did a lot of damage. And then I went super restrictive again into more of a functional medicine, paleo type. And then, and there was some benefits to that. Some things I think cleared up, I think mostly just because I was eating whole, clean food again. But I cried every day for the 9 months at least that I was totally off all sugar, and she had me off all fruit at that time as well. So it was really a big change for me, and was not sustainable. And then from that, then of course, when you have freedom to then eat whatever after that, then I just went free for all. And so it's taken me the last couple of years to get back into that, being completely disciplined into whole clean foods. And part of the challenge has been the cross-reactive test too, because I have a lot of things that react like gluten for me. One of them being yeast. So even things like gluten-free bread should be a no-no, but convenience and time and energy and stress, that's kind of something I just decide and choose to have anyway. And I know it's definitely not doing my body what it could ultimately help it heal instead. So
Other than health, what would you say are the biggest stressors in your day-to-day, week-to-week life these days?
Definitely work um, and the relationship, just feeling alone for most of my life. And that's a really big stress.
Yeah, yeah. So work stress, does that mean responsibilities? Does it mean workload? Like can you narrow down what work stress means to you?
Yeah, I work as a HR part-time. I'm moving more into hypnotherapy. I just got certified and going to be doing that for the company I work with. It's a psychology group, so it's a good fit for that. But the HR just feels like it's continual fires all the time. And I wake up to, 7 to 10 text messages that are all immediate need. Needs to be taken care of right now. And I also get text messages. I used to, with a previous supervisor, get phone calls up to like 11:30 at night. And if I wasn't responding, then it would be continual texts after that. Are you okay? I got a weird vibe, like just so unhealthy as far as boundaries. So it's that spread out all day long, even though my hours I'm paid part-time, and yet it feels like it's my whole day because it's so spread out with all of the immediate needs. So it's very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. How do you personally, how do you deal with stress? Where do you go? What do you do?
Yeah, great question. I like to play with my dog. I like to, if I can, sleep. I would say in the past, I had gone mostly to emotional eating, more so like sweets, and just looking to fill that. Even if it was a clean, healthy, raw, vegan, whatever sweet, I would still look to that sweet. I still have quite a sweet tooth right now. Um, I don't feel like I have the greatest coping mechanisms. I guess when I get to that point of overwhelm, I just kind of give up and then don't get anything done, or else I go to spinning my wheels or distracting. I'll go run to the grocery store, or I do have some positive as far as meditation and breathing and journaling and things like that. But when I'm very overwhelmed and going all the time, I just kind of drag all day long. I don't have much energy, and it takes me a long time to get things done because I feel like I'm so distracted.
Understood. Sometimes I like to wonder if there's a precipitating event that happens sometime in our past that's like the big stress. Oftentimes, not always, but when we have an immune challenge, a lot of times the immune challenge begins at a point after, either soon after or within a year after a big stress, a big life challenge, a big life transition. Does anything pop into your head when I say that from your childhood or your early teens?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was a lot of trauma growing up. I mean, I had a lot of really great things growing up as well, but there was a lot of stress, and I was the person that both of my parents came to bounce things off of and talk bad about the other person and to bring basically all their issues. So I was that unloading zone, and then hearing um, one of my siblings, I think at that time I was about 14. No, I would have been about 13. So about a year before, he was very suicidal and ran away. And we had to have family come and like got search dogs and like all kinds of stuff to find it. We found him within that day, but just very, very high stress a lot growing up with siblings and family.
So that's a pretty early age to be playing mediator for parents
Yeah.
and being sort of an adult when you're pretty young. That's pretty intense.
Yeah. And it started even, I would say 10 and 11, even, because ever since I would babysit my siblings, and I would even babysit neighbors about that time at 11 years old. And even before that time, I remember going on walks with my mom or going out on rides. My dad was a truck driver. He didn't start out that way and moved into that and has been that since. And he always resented and regretted it, and couldn't find a job at that time. And so this is what he he chose to do, and then felt very separate from the family, and it created a lot of other issues that I remember even going on trips with him and then hearing, from 10 and 11 even of that. So it was a lot for a little girl.
Yeah. Where would you like to be in the next 5 years? If I'm speaking to Kathy 5 years from now and life looks like the way you want it to look, things just are looking up and you've achieved what you wanted. Give me just a 5, 6 sentence hit about what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So I see myself married, and if, time and body comply and still able to have a kid, I think it would be lovely to have a kid or marry into a family. I'm totally on board with that. I also see having my own company of coaching or hypnotherapy or emotional processing, something to that effect of being able to reach a big group of people. I would love to serve online and have things automated so that I have a lot of that residual so that I can go out and travel and just take in nature and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That's a great vision for
Yeah.
yourself.
Thank you.
So, where my mind goes based on the conversation we've had so far, it goes to stress, and it goes to an aspect of stress where, as you likely know, stress depletes our immune system. And what most people don't realize is that a majority of our immune tissue is centered in the gut, the gastrointestinal immune system. And depending on what study you read, 60, 70% or more of our immune tissue is literally inside your digestive system. And if I had to guess, if I had to bet money, I would say that at some point in your journey, stress lands differently for all of us. For some people, the way stress impacts us, it might show up as certain habits. It might show up as a certain challenging relationship with food. It might show up as addictions to certain substances. Stress might land in a certain part of the body, whether it's the heart, the digestive system, the joints, the immune system. And what it sounds like to me is that one of the ways that you and your body process stress from a young age, because the psyche is just too young. The soul in the body is too young at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old to truly integrate and assimilate some of the things that you had to deal with. It sounds like you were thrust a little bit early into adulthood and into parenting your parents and into a certain degree of parenting siblings. And you also sounds like you got comfortable in that role as the helper. And as the helper, that's one of the ways that I'm a helper. One of the ways that we feel value is we make people feel good. We do things for them and we feel good. If we don't do good things for them, we might not feel good about ourselves, or we might feel like a failure, or I just haven't kind of fulfilled myself because I'm not fulfilling my role, which is the helper, which was put upon me by life at a young age. So anyway, I'm guessing that the way your system responded is that your immunity took a little bit of a hit. So in my belief system, and this is not just me, there's certain schools of thought, particularly around multiple chemical sensitivities, which always are complexed with multiple food sensitivities. So generally speaking, when I see a person like that, what we have is an overactive immune system. It's just overactive. It's
Right.
just on alert. It's like ready, because there's always a stressor in the environment, constant. So autoimmune disease is when the body attacks itself. The body thinks it's its own enemy. So it starts attacking self. So to me, what I would, first of all, I would love to recommend, have you ever heard of DNRS?
Uh-uh.
Write that down for yourself. So it's the initials D as in dynamic, N as in neural. I forget the rest of the name, RS. It might be retraining system. So you can just Google DNRS, and it's probably the best approach that I have found for working with multiple chemical sensitivities. It's good for other things as well. It's good for a nervous system that is constantly at a low, medium, or even high level of firing. So my sense of you is that you've really learned how to take care of yourself. You've learned how to be a functional human being in the world and a functional adult. And you basically have your act together, and you have these challenges, and you have these stressors, and you do your best to manage it all. Manage the food, manage the sensitivities, manage the allergies, manage, as best you can, being a human being who has to socialize and isolate, and then try to socialize and then try to isolate. So that's a lot of stress. There's a certain amount of unfairness there, that it's your body seemingly inhibits your ability to be in the social universe in an easy way. So all I'm saying is, the first thing I would love to see you do is to try other tools, different from meditation, different from breathing, different from being out in nature. And all those are great. All those are great ways to de-stress. You've already mentioned to me, when I asked the question, when do you tend to feel better? It's when you're relaxed. It's when you can just kind of let down your hair. When you're in nature, you can let go a little bit more. Your body feels better. So DNRS is an approach. It's a practice where you retrain the body to think differently, retrain the mind to think differently, because there are probably some mantras or beliefs that you have that keep your system firing, keep your stress response firing at a low level. My guess is that because you've already, from where you used to be, you've already progressed. So certain symptoms that you have gotten better. So what that tells me is that you have the potential either to heal or to get significantly better from where you are now. So I really believe that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
like
really
that
believe
belief.
that based on what you've described so far. And it's probably going to take, it's so DNRS is my next, best, is my best recommendation for you for a next best step. The intro program is very reasonably priced. The materials are really good, easy to follow. Highly recommend it. So just Google it, get on their website, poke around, and I think it could really be helpful for you. Meanwhile, I would love to see you create a plan for yourself that helps you step out of, and this is the worst time in the history of everdom to step out of isolation.
Yeah.
If you're an introvert like me, COVID times is like a dream come true, because you don't have to socialize. You're not missing anything. And at the same time, I believe that you being as much as you can in your life and in your social universe and starting to reinvent that for yourself, I think that's where the action is for you. Is like now moving forward, starting to invent the life you want, putting aside for a moment the health issues. So I get that it's a limiting factor. I get that dietary restrictions are going to be a limiting factor with dating. On the one hand, it helps you eliminate guys really quickly.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. And there was
somebody's,
definitely a lot of not so great options when I was exploring online. Oh,
yes,
had some fun experiences, fun stories to tell, I guess.
yes. So that's the challenge of these times. And at the same time, I'm just wondering how you can shift so you're no longer the caretaker. And it sounds like you want to move, sounds like you are moving within your company into a different position. Like, when will that switch over be complete?
Yeah, so I just got my certification in December. And so we're just sending out the flyers and information to our current client list right now. And then just that process of building clients. So as soon as possible, I think they have me on the schedule in 2 weeks. We're just wanting to start getting clients and put that out there. So I'll get to work a lot on the marketing and educating and, one by one start to grow that.
Yeah. Because I love the idea of you not waking up to a dozen texts of fires that you have to put out,
Me too.
because that's kind of been your story for a long time. That you're like the firewoman, the fireman, putting out the fires.
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah. So that's an old pattern. And I think first and foremost, that pattern wants to change in order for you to heal and in order for your life to really show up for you. There's always, I think, the things that we need to do, I need to do, you need to do in our own life so that I can come to the table of life more, and so life can then offer me back. And you can clearly see the pattern because you've owned it, you've said it, you've noticed it, that yeah, I've been that person, I've been that caregiver, I've been that caretaker, and good for you. That's a beautiful thing, nothing wrong with it. And you've put in your time for now.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like a time to be a lot more selfish or self-focused and focused on what's really going to nourish you moving forward into your life. So to me, that's definitely your position in the world, your job, and what you're being asked to do. I'm going to guess for you that hypnotherapy is going to be a heck of a lot more benign and gentle, and it might even feed you, as opposed to an HR position that sends you into a stress response on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yeah. Even just the practice sessions. I mean, I've done some energy therapy. I was a massage therapist and learned cranial sacral and some different modalities as well, and more Eastern side of things. And so, but just the practice sessions, even that has been really beautiful to see, because you're helping people change their lives and it's more solution focused rather than the problems.
Yeah. I would also like to see you place just a little bit, like 15% less value in the concept that diet will heal me. I don't know that you're thinking that. I first of all, I'm amazed at the dietary journey that you've been on. I mean, good for you that you've really explored. You've really tried different things to heal yourself. You've done some intense diets that make sense. All of them make sense on paper, and some have helped you. And some have helped you a lot. Some have helped you less so. Some were not so sustainable. And I think what you're going to find, if you kept on doing different kinds of healing diets or functional nutrition approach diets, you're going to find variations on a theme. It's going to be, yeah, this works to some degree. Help with that symptom, didn't help with this. I I'm more interested in you getting into the inner world. And that's where a tool like DNRS comes in. But it's interesting, diet for many people can be the thing that puts them over the top and helps heal a condition, if indeed diet was the culprit in the first place.
Right.
I don't know that a bad diet got you where you are. It might have contributed for sure. And you cleaned up your diet, you got rid of old symptoms, you cleared up your skin, you made yourself healthier in different ways. And yeah, you have to maintain yourself right now. But I think you're going to get more of a bang for your buck as you just learn a different way to sort of soothe your inner world. How does it land for you when I say that?
I think if it really resonates truth, and it feels like home. I know with the thyroid, just instead of focusing so much on the food, and where I've really tried to tune in to talk to my thyroid and also about the food, and just talking, letting my body know it's not the gluten, it's not the dairy, it was the environment that I was in and the association that my brain made to that food, but it's not the food, it was the environment and what was going on, and I'm processing that. And so I really feel like the biggest progress that I've seen is because of that inner work. So I think that gives me, or it feels like it gives me a lot of hope to continue moving in that direction, because I think there's that other part of the conscious brain that I've heard so many times with doctors and reading and, studying nutrition since I was 14, 15, that, once you diagnose this or once you eat this, like it's always a problem. So just working on getting that out of my brain, I think that's part of the challenge of just letting go of that's an old belief, an old way of thinking, and it's true on some levels, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be true for every case.
Yes, 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 yes. And understanding, and I think you know this, but I just want to say it, that you're the general manager of your healing journey. You're the ultimate authoress of your own healing journey. And every doctor you see, every nutritionist you see, every healer that you see, they're your consultant. You might be paying them, but you're paying them to give you advice, and it's up to you to choose what advice you take. It's up to you to choose what you're going to listen to. And I think what happens for a lot of people who go on a healing journey like you've been on, who realize, okay, I can't just go to my regular general practitioner and fix all this.
Right.
This is an extraordinary circumstance, and this happens for many, many people, that people have conditions that the medical system doesn't know how to address. And you're one of the lucky ones that took matters into your own hands. And you had whatever the right tools that you needed, the right knowledge, the right intellect, the right opportunities to really make good choices and to study things, learn things. So I'm just really, I just really want to acknowledge, like, wow, you've come a long way, and you've made amazing strides, and you've really taken responsibility for yourself, and you're going to keep doing that more and more. That's the thing. And really get that ultimately, yeah, you might get good advice from somebody. You might get good advice from me. You might get good advice from a functional medicine doctor. But at the end of the day, what's going to heal you is what you've been doing, which is tapping into your own journey and asking yourself, what's next for me? And what direction do I really need to go to? Where is healing going to come from for me? And I think another piece of that is kind of being in the inquiry. And it's really a question of how do you invite a relationship into your life without the belief that my body, my health, my dietary guidelines and restrictions get in the way.
Yeah.
So you don't have to answer that right now, but if I made it into a statement, the statement would be, you could be in a relationship where it doesn't matter that what's going on for you physically or health-wise or diet-wise is going on for you. Other person doesn't care in terms of not interested in that, interested in you. That's what you're going through. That's a part of your journey, but is not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. Is how to start to think in that way so that there's nothing coming from you that's pushing it away. I.e., I've got all these dietary restrictions that makes it harder for me. So I get that it makes it harder for you. Like, I get it. It would be easier if you didn't have it. But at the same time, there are plenty of people who get into relationships who have pre-existing health conditions. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to shift inside you?
Yeah, I think I can feel a lot of fear. Two things, that kind of goes in two directions with that fear of, there have been times when I've really gotten into just enjoying the moment, enjoying my body, relaxing, just trusting that it's going to be okay, and still chose to eat, things that technically on paper that I shouldn't eat. And but because I really believed emotionally and mentally that it would be okay. And then down the road, blood work or whatnot, or even digestive way, ended up doing more damage. So I have a fear of following just that, continuing that path, and not having it be a positive result. And then I also think part of my struggle socially and is that I feel like by continuing feeding that this is how I get to eat and how I choose to eat because it works best for me, and these are my limitations or freedom, however we look at it from perspective, but that I'm still feeding the problem. And how do I heal if I keep focusing on, here's the problem, and yet the reality is I do get to eat a certain way right now until I have that shift of actually experiencing that difference in my body as well. So those two folds there, and the complexity.
Yes.
Welcome
So
to my
it's a little
brain.
bit of a paradox. It's a little bit of
Yeah.
a paradox. And where I would begin is that right now, you have to eat in a certain way for you to feel good. And that's totally okay. And it says nothing about your lovability.
True.
It says nothing about your worth and lovability as a human being and your desirability as a human being. So you have, your body's giving you certain guidelines. Your body's giving you certain feedback right now. And right now you're respecting that. Would you like to heal that? Absolutely. Would you like it to be different? Absolutely. And right now, here's what it is. And you can love and respect your body and the feedback that it's giving you. And even though it's giving you that feedback, you're still lovable and desirable, and you're still worthy. You're still worthy of everything you want. And it doesn't negate you getting to where you want to go. There's been plenty of times maybe where you, I don't know, you wished you had more money. And maybe more money at some point comes, and the moment it's not there, but you're moving in that direction. You don't exactly have the job position you want right now, but you're moving in that direction. So you're in a transition zone.
Yeah.
And in a transition zone or in transitional times, they have a different quality than, times when just life is humming along and you're in a routine and you're in a rhythm and everything is, somehow normal. Transition times just have different rules. And there's a lot of uncertainty. there's a lot of mystery in a transition time. So you don't know when this thing is going to heal. You don't know exactly how it's going to heal. So what I'm saying, and I'm wondering if it's useful, but it just keeps popping into my mind, that what your body's telling you right now is good. What your body's telling you to eat to maintain yourself and to maintain your health is good. And you understand, and your body understands, that it wants to move in a different direction. So those two aren't necessarily exclusive, mutually exclusive. So part of it is you convincing yourself of that.
Yeah.
Which in a weird way is getting strangely comfortable that here's the diet that works for me right now. Here's what's going to make me feel good right now. And I'm going to do that. At the same time, I got my eyes on how do I heal this body so that I'm not so sensitive. A little more subtle. It's a little more nuanced. What you thinking?
Yeah, no, I love the way that you put things and phrase things, and the summary, it just comes together really beautifully in a way that makes sense. And yeah, it really resonates.
If I asked your mother right now, what do you think would help Kathy on her healing journey? What would she tell me?
What would mom say? I think she would just say she's already doing it. Just keep doing it.
You know, sometimes it's really hard to see how far we've come. And it might for you, and this is for you to consider, it might be a good exercise for you to maybe write your health and body autobiography. And with an eye on your journey and what you've gone through. And once you write that, I really want you to notice and to star your successes. And really notice that that journey has been a successful journey thus far. Because it's made you the person you are today in so many ways. It's made you the kind of person who can be a healer, a helping practitioner, somebody who can work with other human beings, somebody who can help put out fires, somebody who can help create transformation, somebody who wants to help others. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, you're using your own challenges to really qualify you to serve other people. Like, that's talk about taking a bunch of muck and turning it into gold. Like, you're doing it and you've done it.
Thank you.
And I think that's a real useful piece of the puzzle for you, is to just kind of get caught up a little bit, because it's going to be easy for you to want to race to the finish line or get there faster.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And that's going to be causing a little stress. That's a little extra stress on the system, because you're quote unquote not there yet. And rather than you're not there yet, I would rather the affirmation be, wow, Kathy's come such a long way. Amazing. Because in the healing journey, one thing that can hold us back is the belief that I'm broken. And you don't have that a lot, I don't think, but you have enough that it's kind of raises up just a little bit of a flag for me. And Obviously, yeah, you want your body to be different. So if I'm sick, if I'm going through something, I want to heal it. Show me what foods do I have to eat, what vitamins, what supplements, what drugs do I need to take. So yeah, we are fixers of the human body. But what happens is we jump to a different way of languaging it, and we go into I'm broken. If there's a part of me that says to myself, I'm broken, the implication there is a sense of brokenness, a sense of I'm not there yet, a sense of I need to be fixed, which then gives me a sense of urgency.
Or not able to be fixed.
Yes, not able to be fixed because I'm not there yet. And what I want to say is there's a place where you're 100% not broken. You're not broken. You have a body that's doing what it's doing. You as a human being, you as a soul, there's nothing broken. There's nothing to fix. You're already whole. If anything, we're letting go of things as opposed to adding more stuff in to fix. That's one of the reasons I would like to see you de-emphasize finding the answer through diet, because that will put you into fixing mode. It doesn't mean you don't make tweaks. It doesn't mean that you don't make shifts and changes. I mean, fine, do that, but don't put all your money down on that. So start to make the affirmation is I'm 100% whole, and I'm moving forward to make my body more functional.
I like that.
So yeah, you're going to do things. You're going to do things to heal yourself. You're going to do things to transform yourself. You're going to do things to better yourself, but not because you as a soul are broken, but because you want to have a better expression and a more fulfilled expression of yourself. But there's nothing that we have to fix to make you be more whole and valuable as a human being. So you don't have to fix anything to find love, find the right relationship, find the right person. There's nothing to fix there, like zero. If anything, it's just letting go of having to fix anything.
Yeah. I think that's the difference of the conscious, recognizing that right now as an adult mind, like I can see that and I believe that and I know that. And yet I think there's still that part of me that still feels like I have to prove something, or that I'm still not enough, or definitely going into fixing mode a lot.
Yes. So you can think, so great that you can see that part of you. And yes, it exists. We're just going to feed it less. You're just going to notice it. You're going to notice it when it pops up, and you're not going to give it so much attention. You're not going to give it more food. You're not going to give it more fuel for its fire, for its caloric burn. Instead, what you're going to do in those moments when you think, oh, I got to do more, that's the moment to help yourself relax and settle into right now. Like right now in this moment, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm moving in a direction. Yeah, I'm moving in a direction where I'm going to heal myself. But in this moment, I'm good. Subtle shift.
Yeah.
But I think subtlety works for you.
Very much. Yeah, I've done extreme for so many different things, and it's a harsh way of approaching life and body and relationships. And I definitely like the go with the flow and the more subtle.
Yes. And anything, I would love to see you also, if you're not already doing this, put more energy, consider as part of your healing journey, doing more of the things that make you feel good, that actually make you feel good. And I'm not talking about, eating the pizza kind of a thing that might make you feel temporarily good. I'm talking about the things that actually make you feel good. things that make you smile, the things that make you feel happy, the things that make you feel happy to be here, that is going to help your nervous system begin to calm down, because so much of your energy is going into fighting the fires in your work world and fighting the fire in your own inner world, that I just want to make sure you get enough goodies in life. Make sure you get enough nature. Make sure that you, whatever the things, whatever is on your list of here's what gives me pleasure, either during the day or every week or once a month. What is it that really just kind of lights you up and makes it good for Kathy to be alive? More of that.
Yeah, I like that focus. I feel like I've definitely been taking some strides to that. That's been one of the huge frustrations, because part of my soul craves that and loves that physical activity. I used to be super physically active, dance, sports, just outside, running around all over, just being active. And through some of the systematic issues with my body and the reactions, even more than just a gentle walk, my body would shut down and I would get pneumonia, or I would get my leg muscles block up that I can't even walk. That I'm slowly getting to that place of getting to where I can actually do some movement and enjoy it. So there's been a lot of just feeling very trapped and not being able to do what I love or what makes me happy, because so much of that is tied to being able to have the freedom to move.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a challenge. That's a huge challenge. It really is. And however else you can bring that kind of pleasure or happiness into your world, even if it's something that you have to do inside the comfort of your own home, then I'm a fan of that for you.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, I'm a very passionate person about a lot of things. So that's the easier side of finding a lot of joy in a lot of things. So I can definitely put more focus on that.
Kathy, I really want you to know that I just honor your journey and the effort that you've put in and the success that you've put in and how much you've worked on yourself and how much you continue to do that. It's just very admirable. And
thank you.
I have no doubt that you're going to be a great service to, the clients and patients that you start to see. And I really wish you all good fortune on your journey. I also believe, just say it again, that you can continue to move in the direction that you want to go in, where your body can recover its ability to really be in the world. Because in a sense, that's what you're fighting for. You're fighting for, you're asking for, you're working for the ability to be a human being on planet Earth and have it work.
Yeah.
And have it be a little more easeful for you. So I hope that happens for you. I really do.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I very much appreciate this conversation and the encouragement and support and help. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so open. Thanks for talking about your journey.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. Lots more to come. Take care, my friends.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.